Welcome to today's episode of The Creative Flight. I met Amit a couple of years ago, and he is an incredibly generous, kind, and smart individual who I have gotten to know over a couple of years that we've known each other. And today I've invited him on the podcast to have a casual chat. We'll see where this conversation goes. Most likely we'll touch upon AI. It will touch upon some insights, maybe what he's seeing trending at the moment. But before we move into the deeper conversation, Amit, I would love for you to just introduce yourself to the world.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Ivy, for having me. I know we've been planning quite a while to get this kind of going. So yeah, I'm the creative director. My main role is I'm the creative director of Experience Haus. What we are a design education consultancy. Essentially, we have B2C courses for individuals. That's where we kind of started. We started with running programs for individuals who wanted to upskill, shift their career, pivot their career, refresh, etc., into all elements of experience design, from research to product design to strategy to service design, product management, etc. Um, Along the way, organically, we started running a lot more B2B programming. That's where I focus most of my time on now. And we're very fortunate to kind of work with some amazing organizations from banks to some of the big four consultancies to kind of the big players in the social impact stuff. So the World Food Program, for example, we do lots of work. I think probably 10 universities across the UK at the moment, or over the last couple of years. So I spend most of my time taking the modules of our offering and shaping bespoke programs. So tonight, for example, we're kicking off a mini incubator program with one of the universities up north, so that they can start kind of spurring on student entrepreneurship
That's amazing.
within their community. Um, yeah, and then I still do a little bit of my own consulting. I help out with small healthcare owners and providers, pharmacy owners in the U.S. I get involved in obviously I'm starting a new venture with another business partner of mine in Dubai, which we can talk about a bit later as well.
Mhm.
And yeah, just I enjoy everything that I do, and it's all kind of one big day, really.
I think immediately when I hear all of this, I just wonder, when do you sleep?
I got lots of sleep yesterday. It might not look like it, but I woke up I woke up, my alarm went off. I'm like, oh, okay. I think I got 7.5 hours of sleep. I have to force myself sometimes to do it, but no, I do get,
Yeah.
I do try and get my sleep.
Are you open to sharing your family structure? Because I think when people hear everything that you're doing, they're probably
Mhm.
going to wonder, well, does he have a life?
Yeah. Um, and look, there's a lot of people who are in similar boats to me. I think and I'm sure you know, same with you. There's a passion, there's a craft, and it also means in the way that we do our work, there's no strict hours, and that's how I like operating. I don't want to have strict hours. I want to be able to do things when I want or when it suits for the people that I'm working with, but also give myself time to do what I want as well. So yeah, I'm married. I have two kids, very young kids. They've gone off. Well, the older one has gone off to school, so this is why this is a perfect podcast time, because they've gone off. The other one will be home soon. She only goes to school on Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it's evenings are a bit tough to get home to.
Mhm.
But I crave being home on the weekends and spending time just being at home and present.
And do you get that time on the weekends, or is it spent traveling?
No, at the moment, traveling has picked up quite a
Mhm.
lot. Um, and I'll be honest, I've been seeking that
Yeah.
because for quite a while there was a period of time until COVID where I was traveling a lot. And when I say a lot, it was like maybe one a month, once a month, maybe twice a month, but nothing like they were mostly Europe kind of
Mhm.
based travel. This year I've actively been, and last year, I think a lot of our work is in the US, and obviously what we're setting up in Dubai. So this means, and you don't want to just go for 2 3 days, because there's by the time you've settled and you've done your things, you also want to meet people. You want to have
Yeah.
a bit of time to do something in that area as well. So, but I'm actively seeking to do more travel, and I think I've kind of, as my kids have gotten a little bit older,
Mm.
and sometimes they don't want to hang out with me, I have I want to be able to go to places where I normally wouldn't get a chance to go,
Mhm.
if work permits, and just do a little bit of kind of half a day or an extra day for just for me to explore or do things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How big is your team?
So we have four or five, six, about six people who work on the kind of the business at a full time basis. We have a couple of full time instructors. We have an operations director. We've just hired a new sales and operations manager.
Mhm.
We have a part time marketing person who's amazing, who just writes just amazing blog articles for us, and we're going to ramp that up over the year. And we have about 20, I would say probably about 20 now active instructors who teach with us on the majority teach on our B2C programs.
Mhm.
So a typical course might be 12 weeks, and we have maybe two instructors who teach that. And then we have as our B2B stuff comes in, I kind of handpick who gets involved on certain projects based on domain expertise as well. So really good team, really enjoy kind of working. And I think one of the best things I enjoy about it is that we're in an environment where we're constantly learning. We're
Mm.
constantly picking up new things. An instructor might come and say, "I was playing around with this tool," or, for example, we did a workshop with a company last week, and we were talking about an AI tool called Visual Electric,
Mhm.
which is kind of like a image generation, almost a replacement to Midjourney in a way. And I'd heard of it, obviously never got a chance to play around with it, started playing around with it, bought the plan, and now we're using that to generate all of our kind of blog images rather than using stock imagery. So it's just little things like that. You're just like you're constantly in a place where people are learning, playing, seeking to kind of, share. So it's pretty cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
I know that you've organized a few uh, conferences on AI.
Mhm.
You've
Yeah.
been in the space for a bit. How long have you been in the space?
Well, I think, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm like ahead of the game in any way, but I think again, being part of a place where education is everyone's talking about this stuff, you have
Yeah.
no choice except to stay awake and alert.
Yeah.
So last November, we organized an AI and design summit.
Mm.
We had about 125 people come down for the day. Um, I'm looking to do something later this year, but we just haven't organized. I don't know if it will be AI,
Mhm.
because in a way, I kind of wanted to step away from that for a little bit, or talk about something else, really. Or no, not that. I think going back to the craft and going back to like some of the passion for design would be cool, but I don't know. But that was a really good day where we kind of brought in subject matter experts from different disciplines to talk about how AI is having an impact on their domain. So healthcare, for example,
Mhm.
from a branding perspective or from a customer experience perspective. So what I am enjoying the most about it right now is that I feel like I studied math in university, and I kind of my first jobs out of university were very systems and process oriented, and I feel like I'm going back to that kind of way of thinking, because AI, especially if you've ever played with some of these kind of the AI rapid prototyping tools like Lovable
Mhm.
or Bolt or anything, which a lot of people are obviously talking about now. I think Lovable just had a whole weekend where they made the whole platform for free for everyone.
Mm.
um this incremental need to know how to like write and prompt and think incrementally towards an outcome is rooted back in my opinion very much in that business analyst systems way of thinking. And so I'm kind of enjoying like being able to go back to that in a way. So um but yeah, I think I've been just with everyone else playing around with the tools as they've been emerging, but fortunate in a place where it's literally just right in your face. So you don't it's there and everyone's talking about it, and so it just helps you stay alert.
So I heard you say two things. On the one hand, you said, I would like to move away from it. On the other hand, you're like, I'm obsessed with it. Not in those words, but
Yeah.
that's what it comes that's what I heard. And the polarity in that statement or in that position is quite interesting. What makes you withdraw from it?
So last week, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, ran a short masterclass on customer experience design in Dubai. And at the end of the session, one of the attendees mentioned, "Hey, you did not talk about using AI tools in your design work at all." I said, "Well, yeah, because to me, like a lot of people share the same sentiment. I think is like AI is a creative collaborator. It's an assistive tool. It's almost like having a junior designer there for you to bounce ideas off of to kind of get that spark. But I think a lot of the work that we do is still rooted in that kind of that empathy, that creativity that we as humans bring, the passion and craft for design that can't just be easily replaced by AI. And so I love the tools. I love playing around with them. I'll sit and, what I like about them is I like building like little side projects.
Mm.
So they're not always related to work. I'm always thinking about how can I learn this tool and build something that might be fun for me, um, personally. So I think I love the tools and I love what they're creating for us, and I love what they're kind of eliminating work wise for us in terms of mundane tasks. The kind of spark that they can give us in some of our thinking, but there's going back to this creativity, curiosity, empathy that we as humans, and I think before you jump into just thinking tools can replace all of that work,
Mm.
there has to be this passion for the craft that has to be there first. And that's why I kind of mean sometimes I don't think AI has to be part of the conversation.
Yeah. I almost feel like there is a um, collective consensus, not consensus, or like a collective movement. Everyone was really ramping up on AI. And I think 3 months ago, I started feeling this way. I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, everyone is just doing all this AI stuff. No one's thinking anymore. And
yeah,
where's the, like every post I'm seeing online, and then I'm also using it. And I'm like, I
yeah,
can see what has
yeah,
been created with AI. Everyone else can see it. Where is the originality gone? And I feel like the collective is moving at the same pace, going like, wow, this is so exciting. Actually, it's just a tool and not everyone is using it well. And moving back into thinking like, oh, maybe it won't, maybe it's not as intelligent as we thought. I don't know if that is the conversation that's happening around you, but like I'm hearing so many different um creatives even talking about like, oh, we need to go back to just being human, to just using our own creativity. We can't just rely on AI to do the thinking for us.
yeah.
I don't know if you
I
know.
agree. I think I've always taken the view that, well, I can't say always. I think I've adopted a view where it will get you 80% of the way,
Yeah.
but you still need to kind of add in that human layer, that human touch to kind of get you to that final outcome. You also need to know what good looks like. You can't just jump
Yes.
into these tools and start thinking like the tool dictate your work. You need to know what you're expecting. You need to know what success looks like, or outcomes, a good outcome looks like, so that you can then say, okay, this is now ready to go. Yesterday, I was using Visual Electric to generate a blog post, an image for an article. It's not a huge piece of work, but I kind of like the fact that we don't have to use stock imagery for some of these articles now. And um, and I wasn't expecting it to be a perfect image. Now that's just for a blog article that is very SEO friendly.
Mhm.
How many people read it, I don't know. But um, if I was creating something that's going to go into a slide deck, that's a slightly different thing. Or if I'm going to create something that goes into, and you do talks as well, that's going to go on a big screen,
Mhm.
that's a different thing as well. So you need to know what success looks like. You need to know kind of what, where you can take it, where you may need to add in some layering with text, etc. But like I said, it's a wonderful way. And sometimes I've jumped into tool and I've done something, and I'm like, actually, this is not giving me what I think. Let me stop here and let me go back to the human way of doing it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
You said that you need to know what good looks like. How does how does one achieve that? How does one know what good
very
looks like?
interesting, right? I think that comes with experience, that comes with time, that comes with patience, that comes with understanding how to potentially sell in your work, or sell your work internally or externally, etc. That only takes time. The flip side of that is people who jump into the tools without that experience and start to think that AI will generate that outcome for them, and they don't know what good looks like. And I think that's where sometimes you start to see the stuff that's on LinkedIn or is out in the world, that people have created using AI, but they don't realize actually this doesn't achieve some of the goals that we've set out because they just don't have the experience. So in our courses, for example, and I'm not saying I'm the master of this, but how I've said is like, we're not going to teach AI from the beginning.
Mm.
Let the students learn how to do these things in the analog way. Let them understand what the processes are, let them understand the theory, let them understand how things fit together. Then along the way, once they get bigger projects, they can then start to use AI tools to maybe reduce some of those more mundane elements, or to help them with some idea generation and help them kind of create a prototype. But that only comes after you understand the core process, the core work, the core craft as well. Um, and I think for those that haven't really taken that time to really get that experience or understand what the craft is, the tools aren't going to make any sense for you.
Mhm.
They're not going to do anything for you.
Would you say that experience is a prerequisite for knowing good? I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
I think it helps. At the same time, there are some very natural people who will create things that,
Mhm.
and I think that again, that's where innovation comes from, when you're blending
Yeah.
perspectives from other fields, other careers, etc. So experience doesn't have to mean just in that design discipline. It could mean experience from other disciplines that you're bringing in. So, for example, again, we see students coming to take our courses that are coming from being a paramedic or a chef or whatever, different backgrounds, and they are bringing in a different level of experience, but they are phenomenal when they get into, say, UI work, because they're just bringing in a different
Yeah.
lens or perspective. So I don't think experience is just, say, in user experience design or whatever it is that we're talking about. It can be experience is that have kind of led you there as well.
I feel like there's an element missing here because I think back to people who've been in design for maybe, and this is my opinion, so it's going to be very subjective, but
Yeah.
like they've been designing for maybe 12, 13 years, but I'm like, I don't rate them as good. I'm like, you've got 13 years behind you, but
Yeah.
I don't I don't think you're any good. So what is the variable that you think is missing here? I mean, you'd agree,
Uh,
right? Like there are other people
sorry.
in there who
Oh yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
agree. Like
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. And that's a great question. I think, and again, so you probably know what good looks like for you, for what you're looking for, because you've got an outcome, you've got a goal, you've got a need, right?
Mhm.
And I agree. We've had some designers come and go. I've worked with people that I think, as I look at their work, or they're, it's not their output that's the problem. I think
Mhm.
it's where they're getting inspiration or stimulus along the way. Because I'm a big fan of, give me five options.
Yeah.
Even when I'm working with, say, a chat GPT or Perplexity, I'm like, give me five options. When I work with Anna, or who writes our articles, and I think she does a great job, give me a couple of options. I mean, she does. I can pick out one that I like.
Mhm.
Um, I love watching people come up with those options, because that shows me where their thinking or the creativity is. It's
Mhm.
not the final output, it's the actual ideation. That I think that's where you can sense if someone's good or not. They're all good along the way. They've obviously made their career, etc., because someone's liked what they do, so that's
Yeah.
fine. But it may not suit what you're looking for.
Yeah.
But also, I want to be able to kind of see how are they going out there and mood boarding. How are they getting inspiration? How are they getting stimulus? How are they are they going for a walk to, like, check out local, I don't know, different things to, like, just bring in a different level of thinking. That's what I kind of I actually like. Yeah.
So I did a podcast recently on taste because I was exploring this idea. I'm like, what is good? We
Yeah.
need taste, and taste it doesn't exist in AI. And and I think what you're describing is discernment. Like we need exposure
Yeah.
to we need exposure to know what exists so we can determine whether something we need the contrast to determine
Yeah.
whether something is good or not, or whether the taste can develop, and taste can be either good or bad. Maybe that is
Mm,
subjective, but taste can only develop when we have the contrast and the exposure to different things. And I feel like that's kind of what you
yeah.
expressed, like where you're getting your inspiration from. But I think when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at how are you growing? And I think that's also part of what you do, like
Yeah.
learning. You're literally saying, like, we're learning all the time. That's what you said
Yeah.
about your own business. And I think if you're not learning, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you cannot develop. So I think that's probably also another element of being good. And I think perhaps those people who have stagnated, they stayed in their own bubble and then they decided, this is what I'll do. I won't do any more. I won't become better. I'll just do this because it works and just maybe staying safe. That's my.
Such an interesting. Yes, I completely agree, and I think at the moment you have no choice except to embrace that curiosity
Yeah.
and to go after this stuff because it's coming. It's only going to improve. Some platforms will fall off. Some platforms, new ones will emerge. If you don't embrace that curiosity to go out there and try new things and to play new things, like so, for example, I'll just give you an example where we run these monthly curiosity sessions at Experience House. So it's alumni only. We get instructors. We may open them up in the future, but to kind of start them off, we started kind of a alumni community only. So instructors and or alumni will a Tuesday every month we will gather and people will talk about something that they're doing with AI or future trends and talk about say the future of prototyping or kind of how to shape an AI based career, whatever it is, something around AI. This week we're doing one where it's around customer experience and how AI is going to boost that. And number one, I was very surprised by we're starting to see the same people come every week, every time.
Hmm.
Okay, that shows me something. Number two, we one of the times I said, okay, there's a platform. I would love everyone to play around with this platform, and what we'll do is the curiosity session. We'll make it into a show and tell where everyone can come in and show off what they've done. It was a tool called Lovable. Okay, it's a fantastic tool. It's coding, prompting to kind of create code for non-coders, and hardly anyone responded. There was a few people that I'm like, oh, I already know you're going to respond. I already know. I know like 3 or 4 people are definitely going to do it. A few people started working on things silently and then messaged me. I was like, that's pretty cool. They're like, oh, I was inspired by you mentioning the tool. I went off and built this thing. One guy's actually now created a pitch deck because he wants to raise money for his product, which is
Cool.
great. This past weekend, Lovable was free for anyone in the world to use. I'm now curious to see if I put the message out in July, how many people actually took the chance to go and play with
Mm.
that tool? Because to me those are things where I'm like, okay, we're showing banks, we're showing companies how to use this tool. It's definitely a way of innovation. It's definitely a way of rapid prototyping. And if you are a designer and working in the experience design field or a product person, you need to be embracing these tools. And if someone's literally given you an automatic, hey, we're going to do a show and tell, let me build something, or the platform's free for a weekend, what else does somebody have to do to get you to unlock that curiosity
Yeah.
and say go play with it, right? So I'm curious to see. I'll probably do it in July to see how many people actually show up with something because as I know I'll play with it. I know people in our team will play with it. I know instructors will play with it. I know certain people in our community will play with it. But there's also this element like, hey, if you want to like push your career forward, these are the things you're going to have to do. No one's saying become an expert in the tool, but be aware of it, play around with it. It's there. Everyone, the other thing I'll mention quickly is that everyone has access to these tools. Everyone has it. You have
Mhm.
access to the same tools I do. A 14-year-old in high school has the same access to the same tools. They can go get ChatGPT. They can go get Lovable. They can go get both. They have literally the same access. Paid access, slightly different, right? But everyone has the ability to go and play with these tools. So what's stopping them? What's stopping them from unleashing that curiosity? That's what I'm very interested in.
Well, that was my question to you. Literally, I was going to ask, why do
Yeah.
you think people didn't take up on the prompt to kind of just go and play?
I don't know if it's like hey, they don't consider themselves an expert. There's a bit of fear. There's a bit of oh, I'll wait till somebody else plays with it so I can understand what they've built before I jump into it. I don't know. I'm not sure if I want to find out that answer, to be honest. I think it's in a nice way. It's I can't, I'm not. I don't want to. Do I want to solve that problem? I don't know. I don't know. I think it's something that is you have it, and some people have it, and I think what's going to enable now is like all the tools are available. Who's now going to rise above and say, actually, I'm going to start really learning these things so I can push my career forward? That's not something that's easily taught.
Yeah. But that scares me, the fact that people aren't willing to test and to learn
Hmm.
because people are already lazy, and with AI they're going to get even lazier. So if they're not even willing to explore at this stage, and
Yeah.
obviously I'm making this action mean everything on their life essentially.
Mm.
What's that film where there's a cartoon. Is it Fantastic Four or something where everyone's wearing visors? They're like on the conveyor belts and they live in a virtual reality. They're all obese because they just don't move at all.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think Darren and I were talking about it the other day. But people are so lazy. Like if they're not even willing to test and try and explore, then they're just going to be receivers
Yeah.
and be passive consumers of what the easiest option will be. And
Yeah.
that reality actually does scare me.
And so then you're going to have this world where we can use these tools to optimize the way we work as creatives, or in a sales or a marketing function. Like, these tools are there, they're available. I can optimize the way that I'm capturing notes from workshops. I can get it to synthesize things. I can go obviously edit that text. I can put it into a slide. I can speed up the way that I'm doing those things. So there's a bit of optimization, but then also kind of with innovation, like that's the other side of these tools. Like, now I can start to be really think about how I completely game change my processes. I can
Yeah.
completely change the way that I do work. And then, especially if you want to do freelance work or you want to start doing all these things, these things are there to enable all of that.
Yeah.
And obviously, we're seeing lots of use cases and stories on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, where people are doing all of this stuff, but they've jumped on board and they've kind of harnessed it. And I think it's still a very small percentage of people who have done that.
Yeah.
So our my goal is, what I actually really love is that these sessions, I get to put them on at Experience House, and for me, it's like I'm bringing the learning right to me.
Yeah. Love
And
that.
that's why I started the very first conference. I remember I did my first conference I did in around 7 years ago, whenever it was, and they were small. There were 70, 80 people. It was because the price of the conferences were like £600 or whatever they were. And I was like, I'm not going to pay unless someone pays for that for me to go, then I'm not going
Mhm.
to pay it out of my own pocket. And then what about all these other people who just don't have that kind of money to go? So I thought, well, but I do crave wanting to be out there and hear what people are talking about. So I was like, well, why don't I just build my own
Mhm.
conference? I don't have to make money out of it. But I can build it and I can pick out 8 people that I want to hear from.
Yeah.
And there we go. And that's it. And then, so even with these curiosity sessions, in a selfish way, it's like, oh, I get to hear from people and be inspired by them.
Yeah.
And but it's, I think it's all on a platter now for people. It's all there. It's down to the individual themselves to go and say, go and do this. No one can like just tell you, or you can't be trained to go and do that. That has to be something unlocked internally.
Mm. Do you find that there is a type of person that is drawn to Experience House or yourself? Like, do you feel like there is a particular creative?
I think we get so many different types of people. I think there's people who genuinely want to. We've kind of split everyone into four kind of buckets. We have the curious newbie, the career pivoter, the experienced refresher, and the motivated upskiller.
Mm.
And everyone wants to do things for different reasons. Like, yesterday there was a couple of people who started our AI course, actually, who had done or come to things like 6, 7 years ago, right,
Okay.
right. So they've kind of stayed aware rather. Um, I think we get a lot of people who are just constantly kind of adding new skills to their toolkit.
Mhm.
We get a lot of people who are kind of, hey, I trust you guys to help me kind of figure out how to like move into this career. And again, the people who are curious, the people who are playing with the tools, the people who are kind of going out there and pushing the boundaries, networking,
Mhm.
they're landing jobs. So I have a big issue with people saying the job market for UX junior UX designers is slipping. Well, I see people getting jobs still, but they're separating themselves
Yeah.
from everyone else. Um, so if it's a type of person, I'm not sure if there's a particular type of person, but I think what we want are people who are going to enhance the group, bring different perspectives, bring diverse thinking, but also become great ambassadors by embracing that curiosity moving forward. I love hearing like the student who built this whole thing in Lovable in like 3 weeks or whatever, and then he's like, I've made a pitch deck. I'm looking to raise £50,000. I'm like, this is. He's like, I only because I saw the post on Slack about the curiosity session. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like that, like what a topic to talk about in the future, or what something to bring up in conversation. And then as soon as I see that, I'm like, yeah, well, how do I, who in my network can I connect you with?
Exactly. I love
Right.
that.
So, but that's I'm not going to readily make that available to someone who's not displaying that.
Exactly. Yeah. So definitely show what you're working on. A lot of people keep their ideas
Yeah,
to themselves and they don't
yeah,
want to share because someone might steal it. But you can still be mindful with who you're sharing this with. But if
yeah,
it's just an idea that nobody knows about,
yeah.
it's never really going to come into any type of fruition.
Exactly,
What are you
exactly.
doing in Dubai?
So Dubai has always been an area that I've kind of been fascinated with. I just not only from just kind of going to visit, but also kind of what's happening more recently over the last year or so, like what's happening in the region in terms of conversations around AI, conversations around venture building, entrepreneurship.
Hmm.
Obviously, it's a hub for people to move to, and
Yeah.
a lot of them are kind of really curious and actually kind of pushing their careers, etc. Um, so I've always wanted to do something there, and I think what happened was I was approached by somebody a couple of years ago to help or to think about building something out there. And I've always thought that Experience House has an opportunity out there.
Mhm.
However, you need the right people. You need people to open up the doors. You need people to unlock opportunities for you. So eventually, I think I was there in February. I did a talk at a conference, and it was that weekend. I was like, "Oh yeah, there's something definitely brewing here." The amount of the conversations I had, the amount of people I met, etc. That was like, actually, I really want to do something here now. So that I think that like sped things up. So essentially, we've launched Venture School. Myself, I'm working with somebody named Dipesh. Fantastic guy. He's good network, great kind of great energy. And Venture School essentially is it's not the same as Experience House, but it's going to be more focused on entrepreneurship and venture building. So
Mm.
helping startups, helping businesses build innovation capabilities internally. So we've started running kind of free master classes and talks in the region just to build awareness, and eventually it will become a kind of an opportunity for like B2B kind of places where we'll build venture building programs, we'll build them internally in organizations. We may have short courses running as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's something that's slowly kind of brewing and but really positive. We had a session at the DIFC, which is their financial center, about 2 weeks ago. When about 70 or 80 people showed up for it.
It's really
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah, yeah.
With so many balls in the air, what are you focusing on this year?
So for me at the moment, I really am. I'm really kind of really happy. I think the simplest word is with like where we're going B2B wise with Experience House.
Mhm.
So for me, it's to really kind of push the envelope in that direction. I think we've done some really good job with some world leading banks and here in the UK and in the US. So I want to do more of that. I really enjoy that work. I enjoy the people. I enjoy kind of their perspective. They're deep experts in what they do, but we're able to bring in a different lens of facilitation, design thinking, service design, process reimagination. So there's some really great people that we've worked with and organizations we've worked with. So I want to grow more of that.
Mm.
So that is a big focus for me this year. Um, I think uh, obviously I want to keep the Dubai thing growing. I think that will require being there once a month to keep that going as well, because big opportunities there. Um, and I like just like being there as well. Um,
Do we
so those are
think you're going to
two.
move out there?
I don't think so. No, I
Okay.
mean it's hard to even think about that when the weather is good, so good here.
I know it is.
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
remarkable, but it's not always as remarkable,
No,
you
it's not always.
know.
But right now, it's like okay, let's enjoy this.
Yeah.
What else? Obviously, we've got our podcast which you were on. So I'm gonna paused after 15. We're getting that. We're doing more starting again next week.
Mhm.
So that I've really enjoyed that. I want to. I want to also probably in August package up our B2C offering because I
Mm.
think there's an opportunity to kind of scale that out a little bit more to other parts of the world. But that's going to require deep focus for a couple of weeks to just revisit that, properly package it so it can kind of be put out there. I think those are the three big things work wise for me at the moment. And then just yeah, if I get through those three things by the end of the year, I'll be very happy.
Yeah. You just mentioned deep focus, and I know that when you're this busy, have so many things going on, how do you carve out that time to actually do the deep focus?
Yeah,
Other
it's going
people
to
look.
have to be built in blocks. It's not going to be 3 weeks. It's just going to have to be like, here's a plan. Here's when certain things need to be done. I don't think it's a hugely, I wouldn't say it's a huge complex piece of work, but there's going to be a bit more overall reviewing all the material, making sure they're kind of presented the right way, instructor notes, course syllabus, everything that just needs to be done. I think, to be honest, if I can get it all into like 80% there, I can
Mm.
hand it off to somebody who can kind of do all the final polish and preparation as well. So I'll find a trusted person, one of our instructors, to kind of work with me on that. I think it's going to be hard, like you said, defocus, to kind of set aside 2 to 3 weeks and just kind of say, okay,
Yeah.
no distractions. That's impossible. August is a good time because it is generally a bit quieter.
Mm.
So if I did like 4 or 5 hours each day and chipped away at it over the month, I think that's how I'll do it. But I'll build a plan of, okay, what are the kind of, I like making lists. I like making like a lot of people do, and I'll slowly chip away at it
Yeah.
and say I need to get this all done by August, because then it'll take the rest of the year to kind of prepare to get it into a place where it can be made available everywhere else. So sometimes I think going away on my own is
Yeah.
it helps as well. And I think again, something I like about Dubai is that you can work in a coffee shop till 3 in the morning, and it's safe, and you can walk home. It's amazing. Like I crave that.
I didn't know you could work in a coffee shop until
The
3 in the
Starbucks are
morning.
like 24 hours, and I one day I landed when I was there in February. I think I landed at 8, went to my hotel, went to get food, and then I was wide awake, and somebody in the US had messaged me about some work. And so I went and sat in coffee shop till like 3 in the morning, and just I was like, I'll just do it now. I'm wide awake. So and there's other people there working.
Hmm.
And I was like, I can now just walk home because it's safe.
Wow. Maybe I need to get out to Dubai. I've never been actually, but
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
so many
It's
people
yeah.
have.
I think if you're gonna go, I think you need to time it with like when there's like a good conference or something that's going on where like you've got a real purpose to go, and then surround
Yeah.
it by doing other things.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of really good events and talks and things going on there all the time. So that's how I would do it. And I think when I went there was a conference in February called DDX, when they're already doing one next year. I'm already penciled in to go. I spoke at that, and I hosted in a startup awards, and so I was able to kind of get really involved with it. Um, but then I was able to surround other meetings and conversations. There was one point where on the first day there was a networking drinks in the evening. I sat there for 6 hours, and I met like 100 people and I connected with everyone. And generally, I was like, "This is amazing! Like, how would you don't? This doesn't happen in London."
Ah, it doesn't happen in London. It's really hard to
Mm.
connect with people in London.
Yeah,
I went to South
yeah,
by Southwest recently, and it was it was really difficult to connect to people. And
yeah,
I mean, I think I'm quite a friendly person.
mm,
So I'd say hello to the person in the front or the back or the people
yeah,
sitting next to me, but no one wants to talk to you. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm here to network, and
I
nobody
know.
wants to actually have a conversation with you.
Over
Fine.
there, everyone wants to network, and it's unbelievable. And you're just constantly going from conversation to conversation, and then afterwards you realize, oh, this person works at that place, that works this. And then when you follow up, they're genuinely like, yeah, I'll be back in a month. Can we connect and have a coffee and whatever? And there's a difference. There's a big difference there, and I think I picked up on that big time when I went to that conference in February.
Yeah.
And I think that's what was like, oh, there's a different buzz here. And now that has continued with more of the stuff that we've been doing there. Um, and people really want to genuinely help each other,
Yeah. I like
which is
that.
big as well.
Yeah.
And I think when you're in that place where you're like, okay, like I've met some people who I've now met each time I've gone. I'm like, oh, now it's like becoming a little community of
Yeah.
people, and then I'm like, well, what can I do to help you, or et cetera, et cetera. Um, there was one lady who saw me talk in Dubai, and I had done my talk around the future of how do we prepare people for the future when we don't know what's coming as a
Yeah.
designer education. So she then introduced me to some event organizers in India, and
Mhm.
now I'm going to speak at a conference in Bangalore in
Oh,
November.
fabulous.
And I'm like, this is so good. I'm ticking off, like going back to that whole travel thing. I'm ticking off these things where I get to go and do them because of work, which is amazing.
Yeah. That is
Yeah.
amazing. So if people want to connect with you, work with you, find you,
Yeah.
How is the best way for them to do that?
So LinkedIn is definitely I'm on there all the time, so they can find me on LinkedIn. I'm so sure we can send LinkedIn posts. Experience House, so experiencehaus.com. We have lots of our offering available on there. You can always email me. So Amit at experiencehouse.com is my email. But LinkedIn is generally the best place. Just connect with me there and drop me a message. Our studios are in Shoreditch, so I'm around in Shoreditch all the time, pretty much Monday to Thursday. And then, always happy to kind of have a conversation, chat, and just do more kind of things like this, especially over the summer,
Yeah.
where like even now I'm gonna go and have a coffee with someone in the city, and it's these sparks and networks that just like how we met.
Hmm.
And I was explaining someone the other day how this all kind of came together as well. It's just little conversations,
Yeah.
but then you realize where certain passions lie and certain kind of there's something there that we kind of have a shared purpose,
Hmm.
and then you keep those kind of threads going.
Yeah. It's so
Yeah.
brilliant. And I can testify, Amit is one of the most brilliant and amazing,
Hmm.
kindest people I know. So connect with
Appreciate
him.
it.
He
Yeah.
he won't fob you off. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for coming here, having this conversation. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for having me, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Same. That's it for today's episode of The Creative Flight. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I invite you to leave a review. It really helps more creators find the show. For more insights and behind the scenes content, you can follow me on Instagram or LinkedIn. You can also check out my resources on ivymalik.com. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Until then, keep creating, keep pushing those boundaries, and keep taking flight.